Christmas is widely recognized as a season of faith, generosity, and family togetherness. Each year, millions of people across the world gather to celebrate what is commonly believed to be a deeply religious and cultural tradition. However, behind the decorations, gift exchanges, and festive music exists a powerful economic force, one that generates hundreds of billions of dollars annually. The question is not simply how much money is spent during Christmas, but how a religious observance transformed into one of the most profitable commercial seasons in human history. To understand this transformation, it is essential to look at what Christmas originally represented. For centuries, Christmas functioned primarily as a religious event. In medieval Europe, celebrations centered around church services, communal feasts, and charitable acts for the poor. The emphasis was on spiritual reflection rather than material exchange. Gifts, when given, were symbolic and modest, often handmade and shared within close-knit communities. Importantly, Christmas was not universally celebrated with enthusiasm. In fact, excessive celebration was frequently criticized. During the 17th century, both in England and in parts of colonial America, Christmas was viewed as disorderly and morally questionable. Some Protestant groups considered it an unnecessary indulgence that distracted from religious discipline. As a result, Christmas was temporarily banned in certain regions, including Puritan-controlled areas of North America. At this stage, Christmas had no significant economic role. There were no shopping seasons, no large-scale advertising campaigns, and no expectation of mass gift-giving. The holiday existed outside of market influence and consumer culture. This early version of Christmas was deeply rooted in faith and tradition, but it lacked the emotional and commercial mechanisms that would later drive its transformation. The foundation for a billion-dollar industry had not yet been established, but change was approaching. The transformation of Christmas began in the 19th century, a period defined by industrialization, urban growth, and social change. As societies shifted from rural economies to industrial centers, daily life changed dramatically. Families became more structured around work schedules, and emotional connections within the household gained greater importance. At the same time, literature played a critical role in reshaping the meaning of Christmas. Writers such as Charles Dickens redefined the holiday as a time of compassion, generosity, and family unity. His novel A Christmas Carol portrayed Christmas not merely as a religious event, but as a moral and emotional experience. These themes resonated deeply with the growing middle class. This emotional reframing was crucial. Once Christmas became associated with warmth, care, and moral responsibility, it opened the door for material expression. Gift-giving began to symbolize love rather than necessity. The act of purchasing gifts became a way to demonstrate emotional commitment. Meanwhile, industrial production was expanding rapidly. Factories were producing goods at unprecedented levels, and businesses required new markets to sustain profits. Christmas presented an ideal solution. It provided a socially acceptable reason to encourage large-scale consumption. By the late 1800s, department stores had begun actively promoting Christmas shopping. Elaborate window displays, seasonal sales, and promotional campaigns became common in American cities. Retailers intentionally targeted families, particularly parents, using emotional appeal to increase spending. Handmade gifts gradually gave way to mass-produced products. What once was a personal exchange became a commercial transaction. This marked a turning point. Christmas was no longer just a cultural or religious celebration. It had become an economic strategy embedded within consumer capitalism. One of the most influential elements in the commercialization of Christmas is the figure of Santa Claus. While Santa is often perceived as a timeless character, his modern image is the result of deliberate cultural and commercial construction. Santa Claus traces his origins to Saint Nicholas, a historical Christian bishop known for his generosity and charitable acts. Over time, stories about Saint Nicholas evolved across Europe, blending folklore and tradition. However, it was in the United States during the 19th century that Santa Claus underwent his most significant transformation. Poems, illustrations, and popular media gradually reshaped Santa into a cheerful, approachable figure closely associated with children and gift-giving. He became less religious and more mythical, making him universally appealing regardless of belief. In the 20th century, corporate advertising further refined Santa's image. Companies recognized Santa's potential as a marketing symbol capable of influencing emotional behavior, particularly among children and families. The most famous example occurred in the 1930s, when Coca-Cola advertisements standardized Santa's red and white suit, friendly appearance, and global recognition. Santa Claus became more than a character. He became a powerful commercial icon. His presence encouraged gift-giving, reinforced consumer expectations, and normalized spending as part of the Christmas experience. By associating Santa with joy, generosity, and reward, marketers created a psychological link between consumption and happiness. This connection proved extremely effective and remains central to Christmas marketing strategies today. The 20th century marked a major expansion in Christmas commercialization through mass media. Radio, television, and later digital platforms allowed advertisers to reach households directly. Christmas advertising became immersive, repetitive, and emotionally driven. Companies no longer sold just products. They sold experiences and ideals. Advertisements linked purchases to family harmony, childhood happiness, and emotional fulfillment. Holiday movies, music, and television specials reinforced these messages year after year. As a result, high spending became normalized. Christmas shopping shifted from a personal choice to a social expectation. Consumers felt cultural pressure to participate, often equating spending with care and responsibility. Economically, Christmas evolved into one of the most significant financial events globally. In the United States alone, holiday spending reaches hundreds of billions of dollars annually. Retailers depend heavily on this season for profitability, and entire industries, from transportation to entertainment, are structured around Christmas demand. Supply chains expand, temporary employment rises, and financial markets respond to seasonal trends. Christmas now influences economic planning on a national and global scale. The holiday has become deeply integrated into modern capitalism, shaping production cycles and consumer behavior far beyond December itself. The digital age has accelerated the commercialization of Christmas even further. Online shopping platforms, social media advertising, and influencer marketing have transformed how consumers engage with the holiday. Digital tools have extended the shopping season, encouraged impulse buying, and removed geographical limitations. Christmas marketing now reaches a global audience instantly, regardless of cultural or religious background. As a result, Christmas has become a global commercial event. In many countries, it is widely celebrated as a cultural tradition rather than a religious observance. Western-style Christmas imagery and consumer habits have spread worldwide. Today, Christmas functions as a continuous economic cycle rather than a single-day celebration. The industry is global, digital, and deeply embedded in modern consumer culture. Christmas did not become a billion-dollar industry overnight. It evolved gradually, shaped by history, capitalism, media, and emotional influence. What began as a religious observance is now one of the most powerful commercial forces in the world. The remaining question is whether modern society can preserve the meaning of Christmas while navigating the influence of marketing and mass consumption.